I want to congratulate Neil and Melissa. What a press conference. They said the truth. Beautiful. They got our message out. That's really what I wanted to accomplish today. But myself, so I booked this press conference actually 2 weeks ago, and booked it with the press conference, just like I did back on the anniversary date. And they knew I was coming. As soon as I arrived, they said that I cannot enter any Parliament buildings. I was on a ban list, along with Lynn. I asked why, and they said no. I then pushed again. I said, listen, I talked to the press gallery manager. They knew I was coming. I purposely did it when they weren't sitting to avoid any conflicts with the Parliament. And they went back and talked, and they said, well, you have to come talk to the Sergeant of Arms. So I called the Sergeant of Arms. He never answered the first time he hung up. I called him again. He hung up. Called him the third time. He hung up. I said, listen, what's going on? And he basically said that there's an MP called Kristen Duncan who said, he didn't really say anything. She put me on the list, presuming that I did something threatening to her. Actually, I haven't protested in front of her place at all. But I know where I'm going to be protesting next. So Kristen, you're going to see a lot of me, Kristen. But let's put it that. So that's why I wasn't. Reason why I wasn't let in. But like these guys did a great job. And what my goal was, because we're here this weekend, I wanted to make sure everyone knew about Rolling Thunder, and then of course the big thing about the petition. And what I was going to say was going to tie into the petition at all. And the major thing, how I was going to start off with, is if you notice in the press gallery, they kept talking about what's the convoy doing. They're talking about, oh, you guys are anti-vaxxers. Because the media likes to peg, and I wanted to break that peg, and I tried to break that peg on the last press conference. We're not anti-vaxxers. Well, we are anti-vaxxers, but our main goal is anti-tyranny. Beginning, anti-tyranny. Our main goal is this building and the way what happens in here, the way they conduct themselves, these MPs, we want it changed. And we want it changed, and it'll be changed for the better. That's our main goal. The other thing that I did want to say is, if you think any MPs are on our side, this or that, these guys made sure that they got their bill passed to make sure they got that extension that Melissa mentioned for her pension. That's what they care about us. Now I'll also say this, the main thing that I wanted to say was, and I mentioned it from the last press conference, and I wanted to kind of lead into it. So in that last press conference I mentioned, the big thing was, it was a week after they ruled that the Emergency Act was put in against the law and unconstitutional. And that was my main thing. And I said, in the least, and some people said, oh, you should have one. I said, at least they should have issued an apology to all those bank accounts that they froze, all those people's lives that were destroyed by that Emergency Act. And to date, have they? Have they? But you know what makes it even worse? Is when they were in this House line, especially Marie Ferrani, Freeland, and Trudeau, you can think of all the names that they called us, and they perpetuated violence that was committed on that original convoy here in Ottawa were lies. They blatantly lied. They blatantly lied in that House about arson, assault, complete lies to get that Emergencies Act done. But as we find out, do you know what they were doing? You know what they were doing when they issued that Emergency Act? They were being traitors to this country. They were communicating with China. We don't even know. And they won't release the list. They won't release the list. It's sitting on Trudeau's desk, and he's using cabinet privilege to do it. And the reason why he's not releasing it is I can guarantee he's on that list. Now, I've done many lives in Markham. I've done many lives in front of this mansion just before Justin Trudeau got elected. And there was MPs in there. And that mansion was run by a guy named Weiwei, who works with Triads, and he also works with the CCP. And there's a journalist called Sam Walton. Just read all Sam Walton's work. He outlines it all. This has been going on for years. And these traitors put us under lockdown, ruined people's lives, canceled their bank accounts. At the same time, they were being traitors to this country. Traitors to this country. Not to mention disrespect to the veterans. It's ridiculous. And I challenge the Canadian Armed Forces. They have an intelligence wing. It's time for you guys to speak up, because I know you guys are monitoring this. I know you guys are watching the CCP. I know you guys know what we're doing it. You guys should be speaking up. But let's see what happens. But
Chief of Defense Staff is the one that gave everybody the jab.
yeah,
And how many Chief of Defense's staff said no until he became the honorary Chief of Defense.
correct.
Then he started jabbing all our boys, and then he was made Chief of Defense. He is not going to be backing us. He's not going to back the Canadian people. And don't get me wrong, I don't want tanks in the streets trying to come and take this building. But if there's anybody out there in CSIS, and you have a list, I'm not telling you to do something, but your morals get better of you, do something. Do something.
It's fine.
It'd be nice to have a list.
Now, where we are right now, the reason why this list is so dangerous. Now, you had Melanie Joly, who's supposed to be the foreign minister. She came out and she says, "Oh no, there's no cabinet ministers on that list. No, not at all. You're safe."
How does she know?
And how does she know? And then 2 weeks later, 2 days later, she goes, "Oh well, if you release that list, that's undemocratic. They're on that list, and you know why we're really in a lot of danger right now? Because now they're off to mid-September. 2 days ago, they had NATO officials in here meeting with them, because we know what's coming down the pipe. They're fabricating something in Ukraine, and they're going to be sending boys over to Ukraine. And there's decisions going to be made on that. There's going to be something happening in Taiwan. We don't know what's happening. But we have traitors in the government when we're going into wartime. What's going on? This is why that petition was so important. I wanted to put that out to everybody, all these citizens, because it's not the people that stood up in the Freedom Convoy. It is now, but we're responsible, everybody, bankers, doctors, laborers, welders, everybody. This is our country now. We all have to make this stand now. And that's why I wanted that number to be so big, that this petition has to be so big. I mean, you've got to force people, you've got to force your neighbors, you've got to go, you've got to get people to sign it, because we the people have to make the stand now to say enough's enough. Enough's enough. Because we can't have traitors running this country. And all these traitors not one of them has served. Not one liberal has ever put any time into this country at all. And they have, the other thing that is so insidious is that there's 8 of them, including cabinet ministers, that have dual citizenship, which means if they're going to get caught, they're flying, they're out of here. That's the people running this country. And it's time all of us collectively say no more. And that's what I was hoping to convey in that press conference. And I know Neil and Melissa did it for me. And I know this will be spread out. I know there's, but we got to now, enough's enough. Enough's enough. We have to get all of these people aware. And it's happening. I see it on the weekends. We get more and more people coming to our rallies. They see it. They see it. And now it's really tough to pull them in. But I guarantee you, the time to come, because this summer, I guarantee you, our housing will collapse. It's going to collapse.
Thanks first.
Thanks for first. It is going to fall. It is going to fall. Our GDP is lower than our collective debt. Our collective debt. You know, every week, $2 billion more. It's ridiculous going in debt. We'll never pay it off. And all those people renewing their mortgages soon, they're going from a 1.5% to 2% to 7%. There's people that are leaving their keys in the house and walking away because they can't renew their mortgage. They can't pay for it. This is all collectively going to collapse. So it's up to time, everyone, we've got to get out there. Enough of the infighting, enough of this bullshit. Everyone's got to get and tell everybody. We've got to get out, we've got to bring everybody, this whole nation together and say no, because we cannot have these traitors ruin the history of this country, ruin our lives. And 8 of them, guaranteed, off they'll go on their dual citizenship. So that's what I wanted to convey. Hopefully we spread this message, but I know these guys did better. So, you know, it was a victory today.
To all the Canadians that are out there, no one's coming to save you.
Gotta save yourself.
You're not going to wait for Donald Trump to cross the border with tanks. You're not going to expect the Canadian military to come and help you because everybody in there is sick and got their blue hair. And nobody wants to join. So the only people that are going to help us is us. And I'm not talking about getting in the streets and rioting. Do it the right way. There is a political system that we must use. I know it's insane how fast things slow, how fast things don't move. But we come out, make our voices heard, sign, petition 5024, and tell your friends.
It's a free way to have your voice heard.
Yeah, it's basic. I was talking to Melissa the other day. This is kind of like, this is a mini election before an election. And this is going to be the best poll ever. Nanos, they can be off by 3 to 4%. But I'm not going to give numbers, but I would like to see 5 million people vote. I know, don't put out numbers. You're gonna crap on me, but I'd like to see 5 million. And over the summer, talk to your friends, pass it around. This is not gonna stop. So, anyway, this is Melissa.
Petition 5024.
No, we thank you all for your hard work.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Freedom,
very much.
everybody.
Freedom, everybody. Stay
Freedom.
strong. Yeah, the fight goes on.